And we're back. Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Pop Goes the Zebra. I am your solo host tonight. Jesse is still unable to attend, but we're hoping to get him for next week when we will be interviewing Steve and Eric from Warrior Wrestling. But in the meantime, we've got a very special guest for you tonight. We've got the one and only, the Human Heat Machine, the man himself, the devil himself, whatever you want to call him. He's my friend and good buddy, and if I may be so blunt, one of the early influences in my career that helped me along the path to get going. I give you the regulator himself, the free bird himself, Tristin P.S. Hayze. Brother, welcome to the show.
I appreciate the love at the beginning, especially, with not too many people call me their friend. So that's always a nice change of pace. Or at least they won't say it out loud. But well, I do have a bone to pick right off the top.
Oh, Lord.
You clearly ignored the email that I sent you where I gave you the Apollo Creed-like list of nicknames, and you only went through about a quarter of them. So, I mean...
Well, you must have sent it to another email because I never got it from you. I'll be completely blunt.
That was probably, I am very Shawn Michaels in the 90s with a computer, just typing with two fingers.
You must have sent it on MSN or Yahoo Messenger,
It was AOL.
That's what it was, see.
I was logged into AIM.
Yeah, my abacus doesn't get that. But anyways, what's been up, man? How have you been?
I've been hiding from the world.
I'm sure the world appreciates it.
They did. They collectively came together and told me that they needed a break. They said it wasn't them, that it was me.
We're outsourcing. We're going in a different direction.
The best route to go. Yeah. Yeah. It was weird. It was a very large Zoom call. Everybody took their turn. It hurt, to be honest.
I must have missed the invitation, but again, you should see my Gmail legitimately. Yeah. There's like 40,000 messages on the app thing, so it probably slipped through. It's all spam. It's like Walmart.
Check your AOL Instant Messenger, like I said.
Oh Lord. But anyways, I figured tonight was a good night to bring you on. I was hoping to have Jesse, but I settled for you. I'm sure you're used to it.
I've heard that it professionally and personally so many times. I'm numb to it. It's fine. I'm not even offended. I actually,
Well, look, man. At this point in our friendship, if we're offending each other at some point, we've really gone into new territory, because I think between the two of us, there's not much that we could throw at each other, I think, that could really offend us. We're not going to even try to speculate on it over the airwaves, because I don't want, we don't want that. But I do want to talk about you, which I probably lost all of my viewers at that point, but I don't care. You're my friend. This is partially my show, so
that's all right.
I get to make the
topic, anyways.
Yeah, there you go. Who says honesty is dead in a world of social media? But anyway,
honesty and modesty. Those are just two things you don't get too much of.
So. Well, especially when you hang out with the people we both know. Oh, I lost the microphone. I don't have a. I'm seeing down here at the bottom. There we go. Yeah, I lost you there for a second, but you hadn't said anything of it anyway.
That was the junior heat machine calling me.
Oh, well, how old is he now? He's got to be what? 18? 20?
He just keeps calling me.
Tell him, fuck off, kid. Anyway.
But for legal reasons, I don't like to put that in writing.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you probably should keep that on the DL. Yeah. So anyways, let's take it back. How did you start?
Take it back.
Oh, there it is.
Sorry.
Lord, now I'm gonna have to go watch all of the Rocky movies in order, except for 5, because in my opinion, Rocky 5 never existed in the first place. We give Rocky 5 the ET Atari game treatment. We take it out to the desert and we bury it, and in 30 years somebody digs it up and finds it. But
And I'm actually super happy you brought this up, because nobody ever lets me talk about this. I will shit on 80% of Rocky V, but two things. One, the speech in the gym when
Oh,
Rocky
yes.
goes to Mighty Mick's gym, and it's barren, it's empty, it's dusty, it's old, and he's watching that flashback and Mick give that speech. That's one of the best speeches in movie history.
And it's
right?
buried in a movie that majority of people that are Rocky fans hate. But
it's just proof that even in the crappiest of crap, like in the worst movies, you can find a golden nugget, and that's Burgess
nugget.
That's Burgess Meredith, man. That's your original penguin right there.
Anyway. I swear I haven't even been drinking. I don't drink during the week on my diet. Like the weekends, I'm fine. I can do whatever I want. That's for Papa Bear, but like I will not touch.
Drinking during this entire podcast.
Oh, attaboy. Do you? But hey, you're not doing my diet. I'm doing my diet, and I'm doing it terribly. So have at it. My Lord, look at all those beautiful bottles. But anyways, I'm
Irish whiskeys and a vodka.
Dude, St. Patrick's Day was a month and a half ago. What are you doing?
Well, when 70% of you is Irish and Scandinavian, it's always time to drink.
All right, but let's try to get this back on the tracks a little bit here, so we at least can pretend that we tried to be social and civil and professional here. Let's start at the beginning. How did you get into professional wrestling? Oh yeah, by the way, he's a professional wrestler. I totally missed the mark in telling everybody that doesn't know who you are about that. He's a professional wrestler of some 20 odd years in the Chicagoland area. Begin.
Which as of late, I've actually learned that my name is what more people know than my actual face. Which I think there's upsides to that, to be honest with you, because it means I can still go a little bit under the radar. Because I've had several people, when I've showed up at shows to watch recently, tell me, they're like, "Oh, hey, aren't you so and so?" I was like, "No, I'm Tristin Hayze."
Yeah, I'm that guy.
And the look on their face changes, you know.
Oh no.
But no, as far as the beginning goes, I just remember it was really dark in the beginning, and then just out of nowhere, Shazam! I escaped my father's. I escaped my father's balls and
oh Lord,
marathon. From there, it was downhill for about 18 years until I didn't even know independent wrestling existed, to be honest. I was watching Monday Night Raw when it was good still. And I had seen a commercial for the LWF. And
that sounds familiar.
Yeah, this is back so far that like Billy Whack and Acid and Double M and CM Punk and all that, they were all still there. Yeah. And I had called up. They actually had a phone number to call up for a tryout. And I was like, man, I just turned 18. Why the hell not? So I called up there, and Billy Whack called me back.
Oh Lord!
So it's the first person I have ever had contact with anyone in independent wrestling.
Billy Whack is to blame. Aha!
In his defense, he tried to stop it, along with several other.
See, I was going to say he wasn't the only one.
It's not all his fault. He was just the first in line. He was the first line of defense. Like in your military, you put your.
He failed miserably.
So that's not his fault.
No.
But a 1 week tryout turned into 3 because so many guys showed up, and at the end of it, I remember Acid, Mike Nolan, and a couple other guys. They sat me down and gave me their critique of what they thought of me, which was mostly positive. And then they ended it by telling me that I was too small, and they didn't want to see me get hurt. So that's why they wouldn't train me. Because at the time, I mean, I was $135 after a big meal, So, but what do you do when you're a cocky, arrogant 18-year-old? I just wanted to be in a ring, so I started boxing and doing mixed martial arts, and it wasn't anything I wanted to do. Like I grew up watching Rocky, like, you know, bringing it back to that. And I grew up watching Van Damme movies, you know, like having sleepovers with my friends. No.
Oh.
The
Oh, the other one. The other one. Oh,
Van Damme, not Van Damme.
oh, okay.
Yeah. Because I remember having sleepovers with my friends trying to duplicate that spin kick he would do whenever he was like yawning violently.
Yeah.
That thing. But yeah, I ended up doing that. I was training with a guy who was actually on the U.S. team for kickboxing. There's a guy by the name of Jason Belcher,
Uh-huh.
and he was teaching me MMA, and I was learning boxing from a guy named Big Lou. So I was doing both at the same time, and the gym where I went to out in Chicago Heights, they just happened to have wrestling training there.
Hey, Chicago Heights.
So like I would sneak over almost every night after practice, and if they were still there, I just kind of watch from a distance.
Yeah.
After a while, somebody must have noticed and got my number from the boxing promoter, because I got a phone call one day asking me, "Hey, do you just want to join us and train?" And I almost immediately quit boxing and MMA right then and there. Which, if you ask some people, they think that was a huge mistake, but that's never been my opinion, you know.
I'm not touching that one. So we're gonna fast forward a little bit. And I've completely lost my train of thought. Somehow between shots, I got a hold of whatever it is that you're drinking right there, and it shot into my brain, and I have completely lost track of what I was going to say. You bastard. So like, I will ask you, when did you start to get your groove? When did you feel like you had an idea of what you were doing in the ring? That first inkling, because everybody has it. You have several inklings along your career, in my opinion, where you think you finally got it all figured out, and then, you know, there's that cliff where you fall off of and you have to start over again, and then you're like, oh, okay, now I got it. When was your first aha, I've got this?
God, if I'm being completely honest, I probably fell off that cliff thinking I knew what I was doing.
Oh, dude.
For about 6 or 7 years straight before I actually started to know what I was doing. Because like I'll look back now, and I love watching that stuff from like 2000 to 2006, 2007. Because I can watch myself going from somebody who really sucked
to just kind of
somebody who sucked less. But it was, I think, one of the first things that knocked some sense into me and helped me understand how to act in the business, because I really didn't very well in the beginning. I had a match with Willie the Bomb Richardson in MEW out in Indiana, and we had never worked together before. I don't even know if we had met before that. But if you watch the match back, it's probably like about a 15-minute beatdown. So much, not so much a match, but yeah, just about 15 minutes of me getting destroyed by Willie. And I mean, you know, he doesn't know me from Adam at the time, so he's a big dude. He's just beating the crap out of me.
Yeah, Willie's a big boy.
I went in the back, and afterwards, and I told him thank you. I don't know what was different in my head that night, but I just told him thank you. Yeah. And then I went about my business, because there was another match that was like a Royal Rumble style match for the night, and I had a big part in that. And Willie comes out for that. We happen to be in the ring again together.
Yeah.
And this match was pin, submission, or over the top rope to the floor.
Okay.
So the structure of it was, you know, once 4 guys are in the ring, when one is eliminated, another one will come out until everybody's been gone through.
So kind of like the old school, like WWF video games where they do like a Royal Rumble, and then you only can have 4 in at a time, because that's all the computers. Yeah.
So Willie the Bomb comes out that night, and obviously we didn't talk much after our match. And he comes out and he starts putting the boots to me again. And then he starts calling stuff for me to do to him.
Okay.
And at one point he picks me up and he accidentally drops me on my head and jars me.
That's what happened.
Oh no, I had been dropped on my head several times before that. But again, I didn't say nothing. I didn't complain or anything. And the next thing he does, he picks me up and physically twirls in a circle and drops himself on his head and pulls me on top of him.
Wow.
And then when we got to the back, I was like, dude, I'm sorry, man. You know, I hit my head and this and that. He was like, no, I did that because you earned that, because you know you didn't complain once. You know, you just kind of went about it. And I think that was the first time something clicked. So I think getting dropped on my head jarred something loose that made me start understanding the way I should act.
Okay.
And in turn, the way I act, the way people will treat me, you know.
Huh.
It was definitely the first turning point for me.
Gotcha. So you bounced around for a few years, and eventually you would end up in a little place in a small little town called Maryville, Indiana, for a promotion called Fire Pro Wrestling. How did you get involved with that? And at what point did you realize that you met your best friend in the whole wide world? And so on and so forth.
So I got involved with it when my best friend Chase Richards. Oh, sorry.
The face. Chase the face. The bearded barber, who at some point I'm going to have on this show, because that guy is freaking amazing.
No, all jokes aside, though, I had actually known Steve Zoke, the guy who started Fire Pro and Impact Christian Church, for a lot longer than most people know. So I have a little brother who's severe, profound mentally handicapped, and his wife was actually one of his teachers, because she worked with children who were special needs.
Really? I never knew that. You never told me that.
I have a drawing actually that was given to me after Steve passed away. My little brother loved wrestling. He still loves wrestling. He's still around. But he loves wrestling, and he found out that his teacher's husband was a wrestler. So he drew him a picture of Kane and gave it to him. And I remember the first time I went to Steve's house in Joliet. This is before Fire Pro. This is like this is like LWF days.
Yeah.
And I look on the fridge and there's a picture of Kane. And I was like, oh man, that's cool. You know, like me and my little brother, we love Kane and this guy. He's like, yeah, my wife, one of her students, he's mentally handicapped. He drew that for me. And I looked and I saw my brother's initials there, and we started piecing it together. So yeah, my little brother actually knew Botch before I did, you know, at least personally. But yeah, that's how we connected. That was our first like connection, the first thing that brought us together.
Man, I wish, that's probably the biggest regret I have about Fire Pro, is that I didn't get a chance to really get to know Steve that well. I think I knew him for maybe a month and a half before he passed. But you know, I don't think I've ever met someone that has had a bad thing to say about him, and I think that really speaks to his character.
And that's very rare, especially in independent wrestling.
Oh yeah, everybody.
We're less moderated. We don't have to deal with the thought of being fired by a big billion-dollar company, you know, the WWE. So we tend to go off more. We tend to say and do things that would get us fired from there, you know.
Oh yeah, back in the day, you know, it
was a Wednesday.
Yeah, well, you know, for a long time, independent wrestling, if we're being honest, especially the ones that weren't like the big time ones, although we've seen, you know, in the past year or two, even the big ones start to get spotlight shown on them. But you know, back in the day, independent wrestling locker rooms, for lack of better terminology, it was a snake pit. You know, you had to be careful where you stepped, or you know, you're gonna fall into some bad habits.
Everybody wanted to be a hard ass. Everybody wanted to be cool, and they all thought that they wanted to live the life that the guys in the 80s lived in the locker room back then. And
yeah,
unfortunately, a lot of them found out the hard way that that wasn't the way that was the best route, you know?
no, but eventually my chunky ass would find his way into Fire Pro. That's where I got my start, was Fire Pro. And did I ever tell you what my initial impression was the very first time I ever saw you? Remember what did I ever tell you that?
You know, a lot of people have told me that before, but no, you are not on that list.
No, so like I swear to God, I walk in because this was going to be at my church at this point. Fire Pro was coming down to my church because like the church I was attending at that point was like a brother or sister church to Impact. All through there was a camp out there in that area that a lot of the churches fed into and supported.
That was Compact Christian Church, the lesser known version.
But I walk in and I see this skinny dude, long black hair from a distance. And I'm like, wow, so that's where X-Pac went. Swear to God, I thought for a minute you were X-Pac, but no, I got.
There's actually a guy by the name of Strychnine. He used to refer to me as X-Pat, the smaller, more annoying version of X-Pac. And so, like, to make him laugh, I would sell the crap out of my neck in matches whenever we tagged together.
Oh man,
that's all I would do.
You did the.
Somebody worked my knee, I sold the neck. If they worked my arm, I sold the neck. Whatever body part they worked, I always sold the neck.
Oh man. Oh. Only you.
I actually got into it with X-Pac years later, but not about that. Just completely unrelated.
No, not you. You've never gotten into it with names. Never, not once before. So tell me about the. Oh, we'll get there. Yeah. You already know where I'm going with this, but you were in and out of Fire Pro here and there as I was really starting to go into my own thing, finding my place in the world, which you like to tell everybody you had a hand in, but I swear to God, I don't remember that. So, so like you were in and out of Fire Pro. What other promotions were you working for at that time? And tell me about that. Where have you? Can you name at least some of the places you've been? Do you even have that memory still because of your advanced age? Like,
I'm not even in my 40s yet by 6 months.
Jesus, that is practically ancient by wrestling standards in the Indies.
Right. I should be dead by now.
You should be dead by now, but I don't know if that has anything to do with wrestling. Okay,
I have a popular saying that I like to say, and I don't know if I can use it here, but I like to say with all
viewer discretion advised.
With all the Russian roulette I've played with my genitalia.
Yeah.
Over the years, if nothing from that hasn't killed me, I'm invincible at this point.
Indeed.
But as far as companies I've worked for, I've been just about everywhere. I've been LWF, I've been ARW, I've been IUWA and ICWF. I've been RCW. I was there at the beginning of AAW. Matter of fact, I was the second ever AAW match.
There you go.
I if you name it, I've been there just about. The only place I've never stepped foot in, I think, that I can think of right now is Dreamwave. Just about everywhere. Yeah. Dreamwave is just about the only place I never did. I was in Blitz. I was in Underground before it was Blitz.
There you go. Yeah.
I was everywhere.
I think, you and I kind of, as far as like the Chicagoland promotions before, the landscape changed, I think we pretty much almost have, except for ARW. I've never done anything for ARW, but all those
WWA were not that big, but they were a lot of fun back in the days.
Back in the day, Bill Courageous was trying to get me in there once I finally had an idea of, what I was doing as a referee, or at least, the first growth spurt I had, where, you started to go, okay, maybe we found what he's, what he could become better at. We're there at the show and we talked to the promoter and, it's just me and Kenny Courageous. We're watching the show. This is where I saw Grin for the first time. Oh, I love Grin. I love the
I
Grin
have a
character.
scar on top of my forehead that has nothing to do with him, but he's the best part of the story.
We'll get
If
to
that
stories.
makes sense.
We will get to stories, but anyway, it's intermission, and he takes me up to the promoter and introduces me, and like the promoter's like, I would use him, but I know where he's from, because apparently, you know, these little mud puddle promotions that we both worked for had some sort of beef.
And stuff.
You know, yeah. This was back in the era where you can't work there and work here. You know.
Yeah.
All 100 people that are coming to our shows, you know, you can't.
Really
a referee can't work in two places. God forbid, you know. But
I can almost understand a wrestler one
Sure.
town next to the other. Like that I can almost understand, but a referee, no. A manager, no. A
So,
ring
like,
announcer, no. You know?
I remembered that, you know, later on down the road. But yeah, we've kind of both been in the same places at different times. I mean, should I even count Blitz for what, you know, the stuff I did for the baseball parks? Like,
Yeah.
Okay, so I guess I did do work for Blitz, but yeah, neither of us did Dreamwave. I don't even think they're in the game anymore. But
no,
they did one show.
They were
recently,
a fantastic product, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I'd always heard about that.
I think they always had the promoter himself always had like an end game in mind.
Gotcha.
He never really planned on it being a long-term thing. He wanted to do X amount of years, and he very wisely did seasons, so nobody ever got burnt out on it. It went away and gave people time to miss it, which worked well because it was a fantastic product. It was one of the few indie companies I would actually watch.
Yeah.
You know?
In the seasons concept, I do one place that does do that, and it makes me kind of wonder, like, for the places that have been shut down due to the pandemic, what are the crowds going to look like, you know, once everything starts getting back to normal? Because like the better optimistic part of me wants to think that once things really get back up and going, the crowds are going to be fuller than they were before the pandemic hit. There's that part of me. Then the other one's like, are we ever going to see 500, 600, 700 person crowds? You know, how long will that be?
I think we're going to see it again. The problem is, I think there's also, unfortunately, a good chance that it's going to be that honeymoon period where everybody's like, oh my God, it's back again. And then after a while, you're going to go back to.
It'll come back down again.
People posting photos where the arenas and buildings are 3/4 of the way full, and there's a big chunk empty again. You know, it's one of those things. If you love pizza, it's fantastic whenever you can have it. But if you can have it every single night, you eventually get pizza. And there's so much wrestling in the world on TV and off that it's just, you know, consumption is almost too much.
And there was even a point before I completely agree with what you're saying, because there's like a point before everything shut down where, you know, like I was just kind of getting burnt out on my end, because like I was doing like 3 or 4 different shows every week. You know, it was a different show every week, and like it was great to be able to brag and say, oh yeah, well this week I get this one, and then but then it got to the point where it's like, oh, what is a weekend? What is a day off? You know,
people start talking about stuff that they did last weekend. You're like, oh man, I
yeah,
can't remember
like
what that's like.
I was finally to the point where, like, when I came in and I would look at guys like you, or you know, where they're at a different place every week, and I wanted that so bad, and here I was only working 1 day out of the month. You know, then I finally get to that point, and then for a couple of years it's great, and then after a while you're just like, I need a break so bad.
Yeah, you always.
But you're afraid that if you get off the hamster wheel, you're never going to get the opportunity to get back on it. You know, if the wheel stops.
I wouldn't say never. I just you might have to wait in line.
Yeah, and you know,
there's a lot of talent.
Oh yeah,
both as referees and wrestlers nowadays.
More so now with referees, I'm noticing. It used to be like, you know, oh, you must suck as a wrestler, so you had to fall back on being a referee. Now there's people that just straight want to be referees, and that's all they've ever wanted to be, and they're going to these schools and they're doing this.
And that's not
It's
a
just
bad
like,
thing.
no, it's not. But for a while, it's like easy ticket. Now it's like, well, shit. Now there's actually kind of a log jam on referees.
Here's the thing, though: the people that thought it was an easy ticket, like,
Oh, it ain't.
I've never liked when somebody thinks that being a referee or being a manager is an easy ticket or a lesser spot than the guys going at it in the ring, because it's not true in any way, shape, or form.
You're the third man.
Yeah, if you're the referee, you're a part of the match. If you're the manager, you're a part of the match. Any of those people can benefit or be a deterrent to the match just as much as the guys wrestling in the match. So everybody has to be talented and working together.
Yeah, when I started, the idea was let's put me in as a referee because I was trying to be a wrestler. Let's put me in a referee because then I'm right on top of the action. I'm learning how to call stuff. I'm learning the psychology at on the fly, is in the moment, stuff like that. And it just kind of turned into the, well, actually I kind of like this more. I'm not getting beat up as much. But like,
I'm gonna be honest with you, you never want to tell somebody that the path that they want to go down isn't the right one for them. But there was a point in time when I saw with you that, like, you were so talented as a referee, that was the role that you needed to move into. You know what I mean? I'm not saying with time and practice and years in, you couldn't have been a good wrestler. I've never said that because I don't know.
We had a pretty decent, okay tag match.
Yeah, but
it helped because I had been refereeing for a couple of years at that point.
Yeah.
So the pacing was better.
Talent in that, and that's just as hard as being a wrestler. That's just as hard as being a manager.
The thing that you do to puff up your chest as a referee is say, yeah, guys go out there maybe for 10, 15, 20 minutes once a night. We're out there 3, 4, and 5 times. So, but it's like, yeah, but we're not taking the bumps. We're not running the ropes. Yeah.
Yeah. And he gets bumped on 2 of the matches. So.
Yeah. But, it's just weird how things play out, because I remember there was a point where I finally just said, you know what? I think I am going to stick with the refereeing thing. But, every so often I'll get that itch, to just do a bump just for the sake of doing it, just to see if I can still do it, because, I took some pretty good bumps. Yeah. But, those are becoming fewer and far between. But I think probably the most memorable moment I have with you outside of story time has to be probably the time I pantsed you in front of Rhino.
Which knowing I was just talking about recently.
I had no clue that Rhino was, because, like, to set the stage, there was like a long hallway in the back at the old building.
Small hallway.
Yeah, like it was like one person could go down it at a time, but like it was about a 20-foot hallway, and all I see is you standing at the end of the hallway. And like there's a wall right here, and I just see you right here talking to somebody. I don't know that it's Rhino. So I say to, I think, it was like Johnny or Richie or something like that. It was like one of my friends. I say, hey, watch this. And I just sneak up behind you and I drop trowel on you, not realizing the guy you're talking to is Rhino.
Yeah, so, he immediately looked at me. It was dead eye contact. And he just looks at me and goes, is your junk out? Again, we're not breaking eye contact. I was like, yep. And he goes, all right, I'm going to go this way. You go that way. I said, all right. We just turn around and walk the other way.
I felt so bad because I thought you were. Oh, absolutely. I think Rhino's probably seen a lot worse than that.
Yeah.
But like, I felt so bad. I felt so bad because one, I'm pantsing you in front of a name. Like, oh God.
I mean, he's one of the guys that's one of the boys.
Oh yeah.
I remember going out to dinner with him at Hooters, and
I just told this story.
Him convincing the waitress that he was Hacksaw Jim Duggan and I was X-Pac.
And
even signed autographs for her son.
Didn't we have her convinced? We had her convinced at one point that she thought he was the Undertaker.
No,
That's
she thought
what it was.
Hacksaw Jim Duggan. Or maybe she did, and he corrected it.
She thought he was Undertaker,
Yes,
and he's like,
that's what it
no,
was.
I'm Hacksaw Jim Duggan.
And he turns, because I was sitting next to him, and he goes, and this is X-Pac. Because I
Yeah.
still have the hair.
Oh God, we got into this was a long time ago. Obviously, we both, well, at least I've matured a little bit. I didn't want to put words in his mouth because he'll never mature. But the story I want to get to,
I still have Hot Wheels on my desk.
Attaboy. The story I want to get to, because it's easily the most entertaining story that I could probably tell on here, is the night that I almost had to save you from getting eaten by Gene Snitsky.
There was you and a handful of other people up against that door. I do recall.
Oh yeah, it got hairy. So take us back. What happened there? And have you bought any of his pressure cookers?
No, but I do have a Hulk Hogan juicer, so that's good. That's good. It's actually just a needle, but still. So we brought him in, and I had first heard about it like a month and a half, 2 months before that, where we were going to do a handicap match. Him as a hired gun brought in to fight me and my tag partner, Buddy Roberts Jr. And the whole time it was planned where he was supposed to be the hired gun, come in, we have the match. By the end of the match, he sees the error of his ways. The three of us team up and stand strong against our feud, the two guys we were against, Christopher Kent and Kenny Courageous at the time.
Right.
So that's the plan.
Wasn't Wentworth in on that too?
You know what?
I think he was. I think he was the money behind it. I think that's what it was. Too. Yeah, Marcus Wentworth.
I'm so clouded by other stuff from it that's negative. I unfortunately don't remember whether or not, and I loved every time I ever worked with Marvin Wentworth because he's just fantastic.
He's a joy.
But we brought Snitsky in, and he had ideas of his own because all he wanted to do was make sure he looked good and he looked strong so that he could get another booking there. And we told him what the plan was. He's like, I don't think it's going to go like that, brother. And
that doesn't work for me, brother.
Me being me, I'm a little stubborn, especially when I believe I'm in the right.
Not you.
And this is even worse when I know I'm in the right. Because in this situation, nobody will ever convince me I was wrong on this one. Most of them they do, but this is one of the few where you can't. But we had told him, well, this isn't going to make you look bad. At the end, we're all standing strong and this and that. And he's like, no, I'm going to go over on you guys. And I was like, well, that's not how we're going to do that tonight. So we'll
see.
Talk.
I never heard that part.
Yeah. He was being very adamant about it, to the point where he was like, well, I got TNA looking at me and this and that, so I look strong everywhere I go. I'm like, oh, geez. All right. So we take a little break, and I was like, listen, I told the promoter, I was like, you can go talk to him. You tell me to do business, whatever you tell me to do, I'm going to do. But I'm going off what you told me was the plan, because
the plan.
next month we're going to still be here. He's not.
Right.
We're paying him, not me, not we, but like as a company to come in and do a specific job, and he doesn't want to do it. So, it's not my money, but I take it personally because I've always had a personal vested interest in Fire Pro.
Right.
And myself for that matter. Everybody has to, especially on the indie scene. But
yeah, you got to take pride in what you do. Every promotion you work for, take some pride in it.
We came to what we thought was a compromise where it was a finish that involved us looking like he was about to beat us, and our opponents that we were feuding with rushing the ring and causing the match to get thrown out. Right.
Pick the bones type of thing.
And I didn't like it but I was like, you know what? He's kind of agreeing to do business. I can live with this. I can work with this. I can often make chicken shit or chicken salad out of chicken shit, you know?
Yeah.
But little did I know, and I didn't find out until afterwards, he went to the guys that we were working with and told them, oh, we agreed that it's going to be the double choke slam. I pin them both, and then you guys come in and start beating them down afterwards. So we're doing the match. And it's bad enough he barely even wants to bump or anything, but I've dealt with that before. I can work around that. When we get to the finish and he does it, and I'm laying at an angle where I can look and see the other two guys, and they're like 30 feet away from the ring.
They're up on the stage.
Yeah. So in my mind, I'm not even paying attention to the count. I'm just looking at them, and I am pissed. And he had very specific, and in retrospect, I know why he said this now, but in retrospect, he had said right before we went out there, hey, if something goes wrong and you no-sell my choke slam, I'm going to be pissed. So it does the double choke slam. Those guys don't move until afterwards. Nobody breaks up the pin. I was immediately raging, and I just stood up, completely no-sold it, walked out of the ring.
Pulled an Austin Aries.
Walked to the back, and there's the three guys standing in the ring, and even on the video, over the crowd and over the guys in the ring, you can hear something just crash.
That was my first inkling.
I think it was like
it's like a little Tupperware bucket. Yeah.
Yeah, it was the first thing I saw, and I felt bad afterwards because I immediately kicked it.
Because like I was standing in the ring. I was standing in the ring, and from the ring, you can see over the curtains that were the backdrop, and I see the tail end of this thing just flying down. So I was the referee in that match, and I was never, to my understanding, the finish was as you called it. I was never told any different. The finish was double choke slam, in they come to pick the bones. Snitsky gets pissed, runs them off. That was what I was told.
So I was the one that came and told you.
Yeah, nobody came and smartened up the ref. You know, so I didn't know any better. So, but you could see it on the film. I go 1, 2, 3.
There's that little bit of hesitant.
There's that.
But you also you have to do your job so that you don't look stupid as well.
Hey, man, you're not kicking out. They're not moving. Something's got to happen. Let's just get this done and see how it plays out. But anyways.
Well, of course, he was not a man of his word. So the moment I no-sold it, when he got downstairs, a group of guys had taken a couple minutes to calm me down, and they had almost accomplished it. But he ruined their progress. He gets downstairs, and he walks up to me, and he puts his hand out, and he goes, great job, man. Great match. That was good business.
I remember this.
Mm-hmm. And I looked right at him, and I went, fuck you. And I apologize. That'll be my only F-bomb on this podcast. But yeah, I told him F you. And I walked away. And he just happily went into his locker room.
Good match.
And I wish I wish I wouldn't have waited or walked away, because it gave me a couple seconds to think about it. But I immediately started getting more things in my head I wanted to say to him. So I walked straight into his locker room and closed the door behind me. And just verbally, I stopped caring that he was 6'10" and like 350 pounds, and just verbally berated the crap out of him, telling him that he doesn't know how to do business and this and that. And he busts out with a line. He's like, hey, kid, you can't get away with that crap talking to me like that. If this was WWE, Hunter would have had somebody take you in the locker room and beat some sense into you. And I immediately said, I was like, this isn't WWE. This is the indie scene. You suck. You got fired. That's why you're here with us. I said, nobody wants you because you don't know how to do business. And at that point, I turn around and I walk out of the locker room. And when I open the door, the only way it could have been funnier is if it was written to where like 5 guys with their ears to the door fall in. But in actuality, you saw them like scattering like mice. Because I like to think that they were just listening to the story, but I think in actuality, they were waiting to hear me getting the crap beat out of me so they could bust in and save my life.
We were.
But yeah,
I remember saying that to you. I remember saying that to you.
Yeah, that was not, and I don't think he came into it very well either, because whenever we were working with somebody, we would always cut a lot of promos on them ahead of time. And we did one with him where we did like the old Conan O'Brien, take a picture and cut the mouth out.
Yeah,
Make
yeah.
it sound stupid thing. And somebody had said later on that he was grumpy about that too, which I was like, well, that just proves my point that he doesn't know how to do business.
So,
you know, 'cause it was never personal.
You done worked yourself into a shoot.
Yeah.
I remember coming
It's
downstairs.
sad because that's not the first time I've worked with a name, and I thought to myself, I could take them. I could be famous tomorrow. It happened with Lex Luger too, and yeah.
I remember my vision of this is, you know, I'm in the ring, Snitsky's cutting a promo upstairs. I'm like, well, I don't need to be here for this. I go downstairs, I find you. I'm like, dude, what happened? And you uttered a line that to this day still pops me just because of how unprepared I was for you to say this. And I don't know if you remember what it was. I think you do.
I don't, because so I'm like waiting.
So he comes in and he's got like the pleather, like, you know, onesie type thing, short unitard with the straps, and he's wearing a beanie and he's got the long beard. And I'm like, dude, what happened? And you said to me, fucking Big Show up there. He went into business for himself, and you went on this tirade, but you just said fucking Big Show. And like, it instantaneously clicked in my head that, oh my God, he was rocking the Big Show.
He really was.
And it's like, I
remember looking at his gear, and his name wasn't spelled like it was in WWE, and making fun of him that night, because I was like, dude, they took part of your name. You don't even have it all on your tights.
Oh man, like that night was such it was a roller coaster into insanity. I remember saying to you though, like, Tristin, I love you. I will ride and die for you. And if you get into a fight with Snitsky, I will do my best to try and save you. Please do not get into a fight with Snitsky. I don't want to have to try and save you. That was my exact speech to you.
I've always, unfortunately, been a little bit of Marty McFly.
McFly.
I'm not the toughest guy on the planet, but if you tell me you're going to kick my ass, I'm going to make you prove it. You know, and I've won those fights and I've lost those fights. But if you say you're going to kick my ass, I make you back it up. And that's how I got kicked out of the Lion King last year. So
what?
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Hold on. Time out. You got the Lion King. What?
I've never told you this one, huh?
No.
Oh, so the live action Lion King remake. It comes out. This was right before the start of the pandemic. And me and my family, we go to see the movie, and there's a gentleman, because you know how there's the upper bowl and the lower bowl, and it's separated by that big aisle, right?
No, because I'm in Indiana. We just have one-story movie theaters, but go on.
Well, I like to sit at the bottom of that upper bowl so that my feet can be up against the guardrail.
Oh, no.
You know? And there's a gentleman in the very back of the lower bowl, and he is chatting it up for the first 40 minutes of the movie. And as I said before, I have a special needs brother. So I thought to myself, I was like, you know, people are shushing him the entire time. Maybe I'll go say something to him and his family. Maybe he's special needs, you know, because if he is, I've been there with my brother.
Right.
I'll let it slide. I don't care, you know. So in retrospect, I probably should have approached him differently, but I get up and I walk down there after about 40 minutes of people shushing him. And I say to him, I was like, excuse me, sir. And he looks at me and I said, are you special needs? Right away. Bad way to start it off.
Yeah.
So this giant dude stands up and starts cussing me out right then and there. And I was like, oh, good. It turns out you're not. So can you please shut the F up? Because have you not heard us all shushing you for 40 minutes? Like, I know we all saw this animated, but we want to see this version. And, you know, we all plop down our money and everything. And the dude tells me he's going to kick my ass, right? And then me, like I said, being very Marty McFly, I was like, oh, all right, cool. Let's go out here this way. And I turn and I go to walk out of the theater. And I turn around and he's sitting back down. So I walk back up to him and I don't think things through. I just walked up to him and I knocked the brim of his hat. Like I knocked the brim of his hat so it went off his head. And I snapped at him. I went, no. You said you were going to kick my ass. We're going out here now. And I walked out of the theater and it took him a good minute or so. So from what I'm told, a bunch of people were trying to stop him. But I get out there and management and the usher are out there. They're like, what happened? So I explained it to him. As I'm explaining it to him, this guy steps around the corner. He goes, there you are, mother effer. I'm going to kick you. And sticks out his left arm to make a fist like this. Doesn't throw a punch. He just runs at me like it's a javelin. Like he just strong arms it, like stiff arms, and runs at me. And I just kind of went, like not even fast. Like I just stepped to the side. He completely misses, trips over his own feet, rolls, hits the wall.
This is like something out of a Bugs Bunny cartoon.
It was very, very melons. And like 3 people tackle this guy while I'm looking at the manager going, are you getting this? The cops showed up and everything. And just, yeah.
See,
yeah.
This is what happens when I'm not there to babysit you. Things like this happen, and then I've got to find out about it like later on, and I have to hang my head in shame going, oh why did I think this was a good idea? Because you tell me stories like that and I'm just sitting there going, I didn't sign up for this, and I'm inclined
when you are there, more magical things happen, like we do duets or trios and sing on roller coasters.
So that is still one of the more epic moments of my career. Years ago, I'll tell the story because I'm afraid if I let you tell the story, more incriminating things are going to come out of your mouth. No, I knew the risks when I brought you on. We're doing a series of shows over the 4th of July week. Up in Gurnee, Illinois, home of Six Flags Great America. Gurnee is on the north side of Chicago, just before you get to the Wisconsin border. So we're doing 4th of July shows. It's like a series of like 4 or 5 match shows throughout the day over a couple of days.
Yeah. They do one in the afternoon and then one at night, right before it's done.
It was one of those where like we had free access to the park, and more intriguing to me was like the water park. So like I'd count 3 in the last match and literally strip right in the ring, and I'd have my swim trunks on and I would just beeline for like the lazy river between shows, because it's
there were years before you were there that our locker room was their haunted houses.
Oh no, when I was there, it was the haunted houses.
Were you there?
Yeah, I was there.
That was always fun, getting dressed in the haunted house.
You got the big like zombie looking thing staring at you. But we're doing the shows and we get done. It's like I said, it's 4th of July. So like they're doing the fireworks shows and they're this, that, and the other. They're staying open late. And we get done and we have like vouchers for rides and things like that. And we end up fast passes, what have you. It's you, it's me, it's a few other people. It's Dave Hero and Al Snow and his wife. And we're all just kind of running around the park, and we get to the Batman ride, which is themed after the late 80s, early 90s Michael Keaton Batman movies, the Tim Burton Batmans. And so they're playing music from those movies, and we're standing there in the queue, and all of a sudden over the loudspeaker, like we're talking, you and I are just talking, and all of a sudden over the ruckus we hear it's Seal's Kiss from a Rose. And without skipping a beat, you start singing. So of course I got to start singing because I'm not going to let my boy hang. So we start singing, and we're doing the whole verse, and we're getting louder and louder, and like
and Al joined in too.
Well, we'll get there. I noticed that the crowd has stopped talking so much, and I didn't notice. Yeah, we get to the chorus, and there's that little break, and I just look at Al. I was like, "Come on, Al!" and he starts singing, "Baby, I can pay," and we start singing the whole chorus. We get done with it, and the cue starts giving us a round of applause. It was great. We got Al Snow to sing "Kiss from a Rose."
I just remember like grabbing you and like looking so deeply into your eyes while singing just right in your face, not even realizing that like everybody had stopped and got quiet and was watching us.
Oh yeah.
So I didn't even know until like the song ended, and then there was like that round of applause. I was like, oh, all right, yeah.
And we didn't film it because like we weren't trying to like get people's attention or anything. We were just screwing around trying to pop each other because, you know,
I think it makes it a better memory because one, we weren't trying to create a memory, and two, some of the best things you don't need pictures, you don't need a camera, you know.
Yeah, you
some
don't
are just better as a memory because
right.
only you and those people have it.
Yeah, like we remember, but there's no footage of it, and we're never gonna try to like do it again.
Yeah, you can't duplicate that, something like that.
No, this was one of those things. It just organically happened, and it is probably one of the best memories I have. Is just impromptu karaoke in the middle of a park in Chicago. But
about a half hour later, I had another moment that was interesting for me. I didn't ride my first roller coaster until I was 26. So that year, that night was also the first time I ever rode the Superman.
Same. I had never ridden that before.
And Al looks at me and he goes, "Oh, we're going over the Superman." I was like, "Ooh, I might sit that one out." And he goes, "No, you're not."
No, you're not.
And he walks away. I was like, "Oh crap!" And you know, my wife at the time, she looks at me and she goes, "Peer pressure. You can't tell Al no." I was like, "Damn it."
Nope.
All right, yeah, you're right. I can't. And I just remember because it's that row of 4. And they lift you up, and you're looking straight down as you go up.
Yeah, you're in a horizontal position like Superman.
Yeah, so like I had the advantage of it being dark, so I didn't have the full view. But as we're going up, and I to this day I believe he knew what he was doing, and it was funny to him. In the photo, he's laughing.
Yeah,
if you can see that, is right there.
I think I'm in there.
No, not in that row. I think you were in the row.
I was
in front of I remember teasing you about trying to tickle your feet.
That's right. I was getting mad at you.
But we're going up and we're facing down, and the fireworks for 4th of July start going off because it is 4th of July.
That was fun.
And Al points them out, and he's like, "Man, look at that! Isn't that beautiful? That's cool. You know, how often do you get to do something like this? You know." Huh. And I was like, "Man, you know what? You're right. This is really." And before I could even finish the sentence, it was like I just dropped like, and it was just gone. I'm doing loops. I'm flying through, but it was one of those things. By the time I got off, I felt like an ass because I waited years to ride it, and I loved it. I loved it. You know. There's not many things you can put the largest man possible in front of me and say fight him. Okay. I want to get nervous. If you put a big especially a wooden roller coaster in front of me, because they're rickety, I'll get nervous.
I love wooden roller coasters. Those are my favorite.
Somebody tries to hand me a snake, I'll run away like a child. You know, there's very few things in this world that scare me. Oh, I can't handle snakes.
They slither.
I can't. I've kissed a crocodile right on the nose.
Crocodiles are delicious.
Like no rubber band around its mouth or anything like that. I've let tarantulas crawl on me before.
Same.
But I can't handle snakes. You know, I just can't. It's one of those few things. I have weird things like that. Like I can't listen to somebody can't be filing their nails in front of me because the sound makes my skin crawl. Like I gotta run out of the room. It's weird things.
See, I'm just learning. I'm learning all sorts of things about you tonight that I didn't even know. Like an emery board, really?
The what?
That's what they file. It's an emery board.
Oh, yeah. Something about the sound makes my skin crawl. I just can't. I can't pull it off. Can't do it.
Tell you what.
There's a lot you can still learn, probably.
Oh Lord. You said can't do it. That brings another idea to mind, another story. We actually based a match off of Can't Do It. Probably the last time I was in the ring with you, now that I think about it, we did a whole match based around you can't do a good super kick. It was a one-time only match, and I'm very proud of this because I booked this match, and I'm probably the only person that had the balls was crazy enough to do it. You versus Jeremy Hadley. You remember this?
I do.
Oh man, that is still one of the best times I ever had in the ring. Was because I'd known you and I know Jeremy Hadley from my start at Fire Pro, and like all over that time, you guys never touched, and you guys were the most talkative of the show, and you just never touched
as tag partners. And we may have crossed paths in like a battle royal or something like that.
But yeah, but you had never been put into a program, and anything like that.
Each other one time prior to that, but it was a 2-on-1 handicap match.
Right.
So we had never worked a singles against each other. But we had been tag partners, which was always fun. We worked that one. I
remember that
match. But yeah, we never had the chance before that to just get in the ring and see what we could do together.
We were doing a benefit show for my buddy Zoran's father-in-law, and we needed a main event. And immediately I said, well, Tristin Hayze and Jeremy Hadley, because we were sitting there. It was me, it was a couple others, it was Zoran and his wife, and I was like, well, why don't we do this? And no one said boo about it. I was like, all right, so let's do this. And just all of a sudden, like,
it in there and nobody heard it. That's actually what it was.
Well, I'm not trying to start any beef, but like there was fear that the show was going to be about the wrong things. And half of the show ended up being exactly what I was afraid of. But we ended up at least getting the main event right. And I remember, like, somehow it came up, you two started talking about super kicks and how and I'm like, guys, what if the story was literally the battle of the super kick, and that was literally what the finish was. It was the Shelton Benjamin Shawn Michaels super kick. I
remember telling him weeks before that, and I think it was in a promo, or maybe I was just trash talking him for fun online. But I was like, if you're anybody but Steve Boz or Shawn Michaels, you're stealing my moveset, so stop it.
But no, like, take me back to that, because I think it exists somewhere on YouTube, but I've not seen footage of it pop up anywhere. It's not been put out. But
I have the whole thing.
You have the whole thing?
Yeah. I'll find a way to send it to you. I have 90% of the history of Fire Pro, I want to say, maybe a little bit less than that. And then I have.
Your microphone may have died because all of a sudden you just got really tinny.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, but like you're a million miles away and it like kind of distorted.
Give me 1 second.
I feel like you say that to a lot of people.
That's what she said. Are we better?
No, we are not better.
Yeah, I don't know what I can do about that at the moment. Unless you want to pause and reset.
We can pause it. All right, 1, 2.
Reset, we'll pick up.
All right, we're back from a little technical difficulties. But anyways, tell me about the match with Jeremy Hadley. What are your memories of that?
I do remember you coming to me and telling me that you were like, this was the charity event that we were doing and everything. And I've always taken that stuff very seriously ever since I was very young. Like I said, I keep going back to my little brother. We used to do charity events for Easter seals and stuff like that, because they would do physical therapy with him, and they never took a dime. So me and my family were always big on raising money for them for charity and stuff like that. So anytime anyone has ever came to me with anything involving charity, I take it very seriously. That's probably why you had said, you know, the main event was the thing that turned out right from what you had wanted. Because it's not like I don't take other stuff seriously, but that stuff, it doesn't matter what the charity is. But if it's especially kids or animals or stuff like that, it holds a spot in my heart. So I try to give my best more so than I even normally would. But I remember that match being one that I was intrigued because, like you said, you had never seen it.
Yeah,
And I thought
I
about it, I
couldn't
was like,
think
well,
of
yeah,
anybody
you
that
know,
done it.
yeah, I had never done it with him. So it was one of those things where there's guys where you think you can have a good match with them, and it turns out crap. I to this day I love the late great Eric Marks, and I always thought very highly of him in the ring, and I always thought we could do business together. But every time we ever worked against each other, it was trash for some reason. It just, we didn't mesh. And then there were guys that I never thought I would be able to have a good match with, and I come back and everybody's like, that was fantastic. You know, either you pulled the best out of them or you guys together just blended so well that, you know, that was surprising. So you never know. So like part of it in my head was, oh, cool, I want to go do something for charity. And the other part was, in my head, I think him and I can do good business, but I need to see for myself. Like I need to know for myself.
You were intrigued enough to give it a shot and actually see
Yeah.
if you could make it into reality.
Yeah, whether it was professional curiosity or morbid curiosity, I don't know what it was at the time. I just know that I believed that we could, but I wanted to know for sure. And I think my best years physically are behind me. Like mentally, I'm still there. I can still go. I still have value. But like, you know, I know that Hadley was in better shape. Hadley was in his prime. I think I was closer to the end of my prime, you know, where he was in the middle. So I just figured between the two of us, we could do something. It didn't disappoint. We had a lot of fun. And I honestly, it was one of those things where in the end, I went over. And my only regret is that we never got to do it again so I could pay back the favor.
Well, I mean, we kind of talked about that too. Like the feeling coming out of that match was like, we're not doing that again because we didn't want to even try to follow that up just because we all felt it went so well that like you're running the risk of sullying the first one by trying, you know.
And I'm not, obviously I'm not in any way, shape, or form putting us on their level, but it's like the first time you watched Michaels and Taker at WrestleMania at 25 when they had that match that was just untouchable. And you're like, all right, don't do that again because that was perfect.
Yeah.
But then, I mean, you know, you never know. We could have been like them. We could have went and done it again and it been better, or it could have been a total letdown and sullied the first one. But to me, it in my mind, it was just that I enjoyed it. I think we could have done even better than we did, and I was happy with what we did. And I wanted to give the favor back, you know.
Yeah. And who's to say maybe someday you'll lace the boots up again and you two your paths will cross. But you know, for right now,
I'm keeping an undefeated record against him.
Now you talk all that up and then, you know, oh, you're not going to do it now. Okay. You know, like I was just happy that you two pulled it off because obviously the whole buildup, the point of that was to finish the show with something big. And it was the only real big bump on the show like that. You know, top rope, he comes off, he super kick 1, 2, 3. And like, I just remember being so happy that, you know, you always, when you write a show, you always assume that things aren't going to go the way they're put on paper. That was like one of the few times where I've seen something just go completely the way you wanted and expected it to. And to do it for a cause like that just made it even bigger.
And we were really lucky that night. Like I know you said that there were some things on the show that didn't go the way you wanted, but obviously things went well enough to where every ass was still in the seat at the end of the night.
Oh yeah.
You know, so by the end of the main event, everybody was still there.
Yeah.
So, and you don't get that all the time at indie shows, but usually by the time an indie show is over, or at least by the time the
maybe a third is left.
Yeah. You're lucky sometimes if you have 3/4 the crowd or half. You know, that's the curse of going on last sometimes.
Yeah, like everybody wants to be in the main event, and then once you're there, at some point or another, every wrestler wants to be in the main event, and then once they're there, they realize all the responsibility and what they're really walking into. You would think that the main event is the best spot, but a lot of guys either want first through the curtain or they want first out of intermission.
And here's the thing. The two hardest spots on any card are the first match and the last, but for totally different reasons. Like the first match, it's just as important as the main event because it sets the tone for the whole night. So if that match stinks, you're already off on the back foot. It's the
leadoff man in baseball.
Yeah, it's like having a bad first date. You know, you that first match has to be good. Otherwise, why is anybody going to give a crap about the rest?
Exactly.
But then by the time you get to the main event, your job is hard because everybody's seen everything else the rest of the night. They're tired, they're worn out, and they're like, all right, this is the 9th inning. One more, and then we get to go home.
Oh, thank God, the 9th inning.
Do we want to beat traffic? Do we want to leave now? You know?
What, are they Dodgers fans?
It's not the Crosstown Classic. So.
No, Lord, don't get me started on that. But so you have kind of been out of the game a little bit here for the last year or so. Any 2 years? Wow, already. Do you see yourself ever getting back in the ring? You know, or are you done? Or where are you at in your career?
So I'm gonna, just because I can, I'll take the long route on this. COVID hit last year, and everything shut down, and it was kind of a blessing in disguise because the reason I stopped, and my last match 2 years ago was a random match at Six Flags in the summertime. It was just me and 3 rookies, nothing special. It was one of those ones where I was just like, at the end of the match, I was proud of what I was able to get out of them. And I walked away because I was having some personal issues at the time. And I thought to myself, I was like, you know, that didn't go bad, but it could have went really bad. And I wasn't in the right place mentally to where it wouldn't have been fair to me or anybody in the ring with me. Because if you're in the ring, you got to be in the right place mentally as well as physically. Otherwise, it's not fair to you or your opponents, and it's not safe to anybody that you're working with. And it's really irresponsible for the people that trust you with their bodies and their health to be not in the right mindset, you know?
Yeah, you need to be completely in control of your facilities and your mindset and focus on the task at hand.
At least 75%.
Yeah, because this, as it's said all the time, this is not ballet. Things can go wrong, terribly wrong. We've seen it happen time and time again.
And to be totally honest, I was at a place so low that I wouldn't even go out and hang out with people. I wouldn't even drink. I was going through a bout of depression that I just thought to myself, I was like, you know, I need to whether it was the right idea or not, I need to shut myself away from the world until I get right. Because I just didn't want people to think of me that way, you know, which in retrospect, there's nothing wrong with that. If you're feeling that, if you're feeling alone, you're feeling down, talk to people, let people who love you in, let people who want to help you, because it's the only way you're going to get better. And I eventually did. And things just started trending upwards for me, but I still wasn't ready to get back in the ring. And then COVID hit, and we got bored. And me and my son started making little videos to amuse ourselves and amuse some of the other boys. And we did one, and it was like the father-son tombstone challenge, where the son would pick up the father in the tombstone position,
Mhm.
And we're like, all right, we'll challenge other guys in the business who have kids who are old enough to do this with them. One of them being Hardcore Craig. So he responds, talks a little trash. So me and my son respond. We talk a little trash. And about 3 or 4 videos go back and forth like this. And we're bored.
Right.
We're on lockdown. We're in quarantine. We're popping each other. We're trying to make each other laugh. And we're making fun of them. We're making fun of ourselves. We're having fun. A couple months go by and we realize, oh, people start messaging us. They like these. They're amused. They're bored too. They want to see more. So we went from like April till November without seeing each other face to face, but filming these videos back and forth where we were just putting the business to each other, and we ended up parlaying that popularity of those.
Parlay. Sorry. I hear that word and I think of pirates. I can't help myself.
It's all right. I'm surrounded by pirates right now as well.
Arr, the dread pirate Roberts. Did you know he never leaves captives alive?
No, he doesn't.
Nope.
He does
Never
not.
once. Never once. Anyways, continue.
But we ended up parlaying our popularity on that into a toy drive for Christmas, which we had told everybody, if you can help us raise 100 toys, we'll come together for the first time and make a special video together. And it was so cool because they helped us raise close to 250 toys.
There you go.
We delivered on our promise and put out the funniest thing we could possibly think of on Christmas Eve of last year. And from that came an offer from a company. They primarily run out of Wisconsin and Illinois, sorry. And they had asked us, and would you guys be interested in working each other? Because, I think we could have fun with this. I said, yeah, but, I might be doing better mentally, but physically I'm not. I give me till the summertime, 2021. I'll get there. Well, I'm proud to say, as of yesterday, the match was officially announced and officially signed. And June 5th, myself and Hardcore Craig will go one-on-one at POW. And honestly, I am in possibly the best shape of my life. I'm sitting at 198 pounds and barely any fat on me. I feel great. I'm doing 5 miles in 20 minutes. I'm lifted more than I've ever lifted before in my life. And every day I feel fantastic, And mentally, I feel better. I feel like my old self again. And
that is a dangerous concept.
It is, because it took several people slapping some sense into me and, remind me, telling me to my face, you need to remember just who the F you are. Because I've often said over the years, it's real easy to be Tristin Hayze, but it's very difficult to be Patrick himself, And I wish I could bend the two together, but I'm glad I haven't. Even though the lines are blurred sometimes. But yeah, June 5th with POW. I can't remember the exact location in Wisconsin, but that will be where we're at. I know you have a little bit of a bias. There's another company running that night, another fabulous company, Warrior Wrestling. Heard nothing but good things about them, especially their referees.
Yeah, we got a good
But
group
if you're
of
not going
referees.
to go to POW out in Marion Catholic High School, come on out to Wisconsin. Come see this big American history-looking ex-mofo beat the guy who's got a fresh mullet going on right now. So.
You're growing the hair back. There you go.
It's a very specific hairstyle I'm going for. So
there you go, man.
Yeah,
I'll tell you what, we've been here, there, and everywhere, and it's been what, 13 years now, 14 years we've been doing. You and I have been doing this together. It's been a while.
I want to say like 07, 08.
Yeah, because oh God, I'd have been 19 or 20 when
right before
when
the
I showed
passing
up.
of Steve Zoke.
Yes, yeah,
So,
and
end of
man,
2017, beginning of
it was
end of
April.
2007, and beginning of 2008.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that. Man, I can't wait to see what we do next. I feel like you and I are going to be inside of a wrestling ring together sooner rather than later, and it's got to
Definitely.
happen because funny story. You're one of my best friends in the business. I think I can count on one hand the number of times I've actually had one of your matches.
No.
There aren't a lot. There are not
Maybe
a
I'm
lot out there.
sensationalizing it. Maybe I'm remembering it wrong, but I always thought you were like my Earl Hebner, like my Lucky Charm.
It doesn't feel like we've done because there are people now, like if I do 2 or 3 or 4 other matches, it feels like I've done 100. I don't think
They're that bad, huh?
No, it's not that. It's just like,
I can't believe you're openly talking trash about these fantastic workers you've been with over the years. That's not polite.
Well,
I know something about being polite, come on.
Yeah, well, I mean, if I never work another Frank the Clown match, I'll be a happy camper. I'm kidding, or am I? I am pleased to announce that Frank the Clown and Robert Ego Anthony were recently unbooked from Warrior Wrestling. They are no longer. Yeah. Warrior announced that they are unbooked, and
wow.
the sky itself does cry. It's just a tear to my eye and just awful. But I think that we are probably gonna call it a night here. We're gonna hit the red light button. We're gonna take it home. And Pat,
I think we've got enough for a round 2, but this
oh yeah,
good.
definitely
for another night.
Yeah, this was just a couple of buddies shooting the shit, catching up and taping it for anybody that wants to watch along. Tristin,
I appreciate everybody coming out for this filming of the return of the It's a Work podcast. This has been fun. Thanks for being my co-host tonight, Jeremy.
The infamous It's a Work podcast.
The only podcast brave enough to ask Booker T why he called Hulk Hogan.
We're not. Don't do it.
We did ask him about that.
I know you asked him about it and he answered it, but you can infer what he's talking about. Hulk Hogan, we coming for you. But anyway, there's still all sorts of
podcasts that got head from Al Snow.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that you haven't released yet. I remember a drive to Wisconsin.
Release the Sunny podcast.
Well, we don't want to make anybody too uncomfortable with that one. That might be a little incriminating. But
the only place Sunny ever made me uncomfortable was in the shorts.
Oh Lord. Anyway, Tristin, where can we find you on social media? For those of you that didn't just completely click out the backup button and tried to write the episode from memory, where can we follow you on social media? By the way, who is the GOAT? By the way,
who is the GOAT?
Who's your vote for the GOAT?
The vote for the GOAT. The GOAT's already over. The finals came down to Shawn Michaels and Steve Austin.
A rematch from WrestleMania 14.
Which obviously my top 2 all-time favorites.
I think I know who you voted.
I can accept the fact that just because they're my favorites doesn't mean they're the greatest of all time. But when it comes to Steve Austin and Shawn Michaels, if you were drafting a ball club, that's your draft picks 1A and 1B.
Yeah.
The voting went Steve Austin, obviously, but
I voted for Steve.
I dare anybody to say one is honestly better than the other.
I think that's a matter of preference at that point,
But I think the funny part is both of them would tell you someone else is the greatest of all time, and that's a good sign that they're candidates to be the greatest of all time.
Yeah, I like my issue on that was when it came down. It was Shawn Michaels versus Eddie Guerrero. Not because I had a hard time picking one over the other. It's that I had to pick one over the other. I think I actually posted it in the comments sections, the Shawn Michaels gift.
For
I'm
years,
sorry. I love you. And I voted Shawn, you know.
years I've referred to that as the greatest match that never happened.
Yeah,
and I recently learned that we were close to it the year Eddie passed away.
I always said if I could do a time machine, I want Eddie Guerrero versus Macho Man, both in their primes, just because the different directions that could have gone, especially if Macho Man has Miss Elizabeth.
But see, that's another one of those things like I was talking about earlier. Like sometimes you think it's going to be amazing and it's not. And it wasn't a bad match, but I used to say I always wanted Shawn Michaels versus the Macho Man. And I found it one day. And it was just okay. You know, it wasn't bad. They didn't have a lot of time. It wasn't what I wanted to be, you know. But I feel like if you gave them both 10 years more time on their careers, it would have been one of the best ever.
Oh, dude, without a doubt.
Yeah.
But anyways, not to get sidetracked.
As far as social media goes, if you could spell it right, you can find me at Tristin Hayze on Facebook, Human Heat Machine on Instagram, and TikTok, where I just make fun of my son. I force him to listen to horrible dad jokes.
He does, and those dad jokes are amazing.
I mean, other than you can follow me. I don't need your follows. I don't want them, but you can do it, and I'm fine with that.
Hey, Tristin.
It's just going to give more people more opportunities to send me nasty messages and ask me, like, when am I coming back to wrestling? Which I already answered if you were here 15 minutes ago. Or ask me if the Freebirds are ever going to get back together. It's been 6 years. Please don't hold your breath, because purple is my favorite color, but it doesn't look good on your face. So there's stuff like that. And then it's just going to give the aforementioned Robert Anthony, I just knocked out Mjolnir. Yes, I'm worthy of carrying. It's just going to give him more opportunities to ask me how much he can buy this belt for me for, because he'll be able to track me down different places. So with that having been said, follow me if you want. Heckle me if you want. Doesn't mean I'm going to respond. I don't need you, but I'll welcome you.
Hey, Tristin. You wanna hear a joke about pizza?
Yeah.
Never mind, it's too cheesy.
No.
Horrible dad jokes. But
did you hear how much the fireplace cost?
No.
Nothing. It's on the house.
Wow. Hey, where do cats learn to swim? In the kiddie pool. Ha! Ha!
Wah, wah, wah. Bye, everybody. Don't blame him for this. This is my fault.
Yes, as you can see, this is why we call him the Human Heat Machine. But since Jesse's not here, I'll do the outro as we always do. Before we do that, check us out on social media. Pop Goes the Zebra on all major social media platforms, and obviously go to our YouTube channel, also Pop Goes the Zebra. So with that being said, we would like you to remember to not add to the population, do not subtract from the population, do not be the reason, unlike Hayes, why we have to have a safety briefing on Monday. And with that being said, this is the crew of Pop Goes the Zebra, wishing you all a pleasant night and hope that you have an even better tomorrow. Take care. Sir, this is a Wendy's.